Hi, everybody. Welcome to an unusual CEA annual meeting. Glad you could be here. Last year, when we were gathered together for our annual meeting, we were celebrating our most recent contract settlement, our current 2-year contract. And many of us were working busily on the referendum campaign, among other things for the operating levy that failed this past fall. What a difference a year makes. There are some good things going on. There are some good things right now. We can look at our pay stub that's coming up here. Our first paycheck in September will show a dramatic increase as a result of that contract. Over the 2 years, the total package was an increase of about 8%. That was, if not the highest, one of the highest in the state of Minnesota over the last contract negotiations period. And within that, we did a lot of things, but here are two examples of pretty important things. One was we got rid of the freeze. So those of us who had been frozen for a year back after the 2008 crash, see that year restored. We're moved ahead on the salary schedule, and that's a huge thing that is extremely hard to accomplish. I think it's only been done one other time in the state of Minnesota. We also will enjoy this year an increase in our pooled benefit dollars. They go up $1,730 per person to reach a dollar amount of $9,000. Still not fabulous, but much better than where we were. We don't get contract settlements like that unless you have a strong local, and we do. CEA is a strong local. We continue to show that over and over. We also are surrounded by strong locals. If you think about other locals in the metropolitan area, they help us and we help them to keep a market rate, a compensation rate that keeps us in the middle class. These are all things that are extremely important for you and me as CEA members. We are living in an incredibly difficult time, and of course that is fully evident in our work, and it will be throughout this year and probably for the foreseeable future. The COVID-19 pandemic and the murder of George Floyd are two events that have changed our world. First off, with the pandemic, it's caused us to question, and it's caused uncertainty, and it is pushed us to wonder and in some cases be fearful of what lies ahead. The murder of George Floyd makes it so painfully obvious how racial oppression continues to exist in our society. And we see examples of that same oppression here in our community. And we're wrestling with that and trying to deal with it together. Well, a friend of mine, Parker Palmer, he's the inspiration of our Courage to Teach retreats. Many of you have benefited from those, and we'll continue to run those going forward. But Parker Palmer has written recently about being a conscientious objector to frenzy. And I think frenzy is a good word. It certainly has characterized much of my week so far, and frankly, much of the summer as we tried to respond to different things and different challenges in preparation for this school year. But this idea, this conscientious objector to frenzy, I really like it, and I'm going to encourage all of us to talk about that this year. We're handed all kinds of impossible situations. We're handed all kinds of conditions and challenges that don't have good answers. our culture right now is saying that there should be. There should be an easy answer. There should be a fix. And when that isn't immediately evident, we're starting to make bad decisions again as a culture, as a society. And I think it's happening here in eastern Carver County as well. And it filters into our workplaces. So I'd like to ask you to think about that conscientious objector to frenzy. How can we reframe and rethink the way that we do our work? Because again, all of the outside stimuli are to grab a hold of that frenzy and respond in awkward, unpredictable, and unreliable ways. And that's not good for our students, and frankly, it's not good for us. Let me give you three examples of how union members respond to these kinds of things, and how I invite all of us to continue. We're not perfect, but continue to try to aspire to actions such as these. These are three examples just from this week. So there's a conversation in one of the high schools, and high school teachers are grousing a little bit. I'm known to do that. Grousing a little bit about having to be in person back in the building when they're going to be doing distance learning next week. And one of our high school colleagues says to her comrade or her colleagues, she says, you know, the pre-K teachers, the elementary, the middle school teachers, they're all going to be in session next week. I think it's right that we're here this week. That's being a union member. Another example, we're hearing, maybe you haven't yet, it's a really hard situation for our special education teachers. A lot of us are finding ourselves in very, very difficult situations. This is just one example. But the special education teachers were told on Monday that they have this incredible workload that's going to exist for the first month of school with regards to documentation and due process and IEPs. It's really overwhelming. Well, what we're doing, building by building, is having conversations among the special education teachers. And collectively, they're pushing back, saying, this isn't going to work. We're going to need to find a better way. I think we'll be successful in finding a better way. Is it going to be perfect? I think that's a lot to hope for. But can it be a lot better? I think so. I'm very confident that it can. One more example. You'll know because you probably have friends or you're one yourself. Our middle schools are really hit hard because of the failure of the operating levy and the decision to try to maintain as much of the middle school experience as possible. Well, it's extremely painful for our teachers as they try to make this work. And with the MOU language, we've got two memoranda of understanding that were written last spring. They were presented to the district again just last week. Well, what if we were to bring those back to the buildings? We'll continue with those district district conversations. We're not in a period of negotiations. The district doesn't have to respond. But how do we continue to increase that pressure and keep those really genuine, authentic, purposeful conversations going? Well, I think we can do that at the building level, and again, we can do that collectively. And that's our work together. We're not going to make great strides working individually. And that's what a union is for. That's what they've always been for. That's how they work. That's what we'll be celebrating this weekend, Labor Day. So, as we move forward, please think about our work together. It continues. It's vibrant. There's a lot going on. Throughout this COVID pandemic this summer, we had 3 full days of training, CEA did, for 18 teachers who have committed to being racial equity advocates in our district. And they spent 3 days outdoors, working together, building relationships, learning content, and moving towards a plan that will help the whole district. we'll hear much more about them in coming days. We also have had um, the info picket that we had last week, and uh, it went well. It was something that was hard. It it was successful. We had over 60 teachers and family members show up to spend some time on an informational picket where we were talking about the importance of safety for students and families and teachers and our families. And we had community members stop by the roadside there off of 41 and ask us questions. What does safety mean? And we talked about 6 feet. And we talked about being as safe in our schools as we are in restaurants and in stores and in public. Um, we also got a lot of media attention, which is another part of what we were looking for. How are we getting the word out? How is the community understanding what we're about and what we're looking for and how we work together? MinPost ran an article on us, the CEA, last week. The Star Tribune included us in a wide-ranging article about safe school reopening across the metropolitan area. And we think that today, Thursday, um, Minnesota Public Radio will share a story after doing a number of interviews with teachers and in the district office. So there's a lot going on that isn't possible for any one of us to do alone. We do need to keep this collective effort. We do need to work together to make sure that we serve our students as they deserve, that we take care of ourselves, and we take care of our colleagues so that we can show up for our families and we can have sustainable work lives. I hope you have a restful, it won't be a worry-free Labor Day weekend, but I hope you take care of yourselves. Let me know what I can do and what your building reps can do, and together we'll move forward. And I wish you all a successful first week of school next week. Thank you.